efficient Buck defense.
Okay, this is a classic game to me of keep away, because I believe that Bill Belichick will say, I just have to keep the ball away from Brady. It's the classic Belichick as the defensive coordinator for Parcells going into the Buffalo Super Bowl when everybody thought, man, you're going to get blown out by the K-gun offense of Jim Kelly and company.
Right.
And they just said that the Peter King has written about on the bus as they left the NFC Championship game. Bill just said to the other Bill, Parcells to Belichick, shorten the game.
Right.
Well, the way you shorten it is you run it and you keep it and you convert third downs.
Yeah, but,
right?
but see, what you fail to realize, Skip, that 90s defense of the Giants were really, really good.
Okay, but the point is, it's your offense.
Right.
Can Mac Jones and company, can they pound it against a beat-up, sort of reeling Tampa defense? It's just not what it was. It seems like they've lost their confidence. And they signed Richard Sherman, but unfortunately, he goes in there and starts coaching them up like he's the player coach now, the leader of the defense in his first workout. He can't play Sunday.
He's not going to be ready to play.
He's not going to be ready to play. So how does that help them? So all of a sudden, it's the game of Tom's life, and he doesn't have the backup. He doesn't have the bodyguard defense that helped take him through the playoff run.
But, Skip, if you remember, it was the Buffalo Bills that got off to the great start. And they had and the Giants had to come from behind because they got a sack. You know, remember Bruce Smith sacked the quarterback, sacked I forget who Jim Kelly. No, it was Hostetler.
Yeah, Hostetler played for the Giants.
He sacked Hostetler in Tampa. So Buffalo got up to the great start. And it was that, third and whatever, they ended up getting a first down. But even still, Skip, it still took what? It still took a missed field goal from Norwood in order for them to win the ball game.
It did, but they pulled it out.
They did.
And it was seen as a shocking upset and a genius coaching job by the two Bills on the other side. Okay, so now you have a Bruce Arians who's suddenly conflicted, as in, gee, we got to protect our defense because we need to keep the ball as much as we can keep the ball. Will they shut it down more and run the ball a little bit more and try to hold on to it?
But Skip, their running game hadn't been what we thought. We thought it would get better. We thought with Rojo and Leonard Fournette, we thought, okay, they're going to run the ball because they ran the ball a little bit last year, especially come playoff time. Their run game, Skip, their run game has been Tom Brady with short passes, with bubble screen, jailbreak screens, and things of that nature. So that seems to be their short ball game. The question is, who can Damian Harris have the impact of Otis Anderson, where he shortened the game and he was running, getting first down, and keeping that offense off the field? Can they do that? Because, like I said, Skip, I've not been impressed. I thought I was going to see a lot more firepower from the Pats offense than what I've seen. I thought I was going to see a defense that was going to be suffocating, considering some of the pieces with Matthew Judon back and Kyle Van Noy and J.C. Jackson, who's playing unbelievable. I thought I was going to see a better defense. I've been disappointed in what I saw, Skip.
Okay, so on offense, I've told you the secret weapon that they have that they probably will not use is Ramondre Stevenson from the University of Oklahoma that they stole in the fourth round this year, but he fumbled in game one and went straight in the dugout.
You're the doghouse.
You're done.
Yeah, he's the doghouse.
But he is a difference maker of a 250-pound bulldozing running back who can also run. So I don't think they're going to have to worry about that. So now it comes down to how will Tom play to start the game? I hope I'm wrong about this. I bet you, and you've seen this happen before, he'll be a little bit off. He'll be a little overamped. There'll be a little too much of what I call psycho Tom. He'll want it too badly. He'll press a little bit. He'll overthrow a couple of throws. They'll get off to a shaky start, and New England will hang in the game because he's not quite right.
Well, Skip, the first series, Coach Belichick will show him something that Tom isn't expecting, and we've seen this even in the Dallas game. Skip, they got up to the slow start. We saw against the Rams, they got up to the slow start, and then the next drive they come out there, they go right down the field, boom, boom, boom. So it's going to be very interesting to see. I'm sure Coach Belichick is going to give him a look or a couple of looks that they're not expecting. But I don't expect this to last anytime. Tom will be ready for this moment. Yes, he's going to be amped. Yes, he understands. But, Skip, he wants this more than anything.
What was the classic Belichick game plan that he got the most credit for in a huge game against Peyton Manning? It was back on November 24th of 2013, also on a Sunday night. Peyton goes in there on fire and was on fire in the first half of the game because they led 24-0. did your Broncos 24-0 at halftime. Second half, they dared Peyton to run the ball. They just basically, because remember, Belichick's classic cover one. That's just, you can just count on he's going to come out first with one single high safety. That's just that's his calling card.
Right.
That's what they do.
That's what he does now.
But that night, as Aqib Talib said after the game, we went too deep shell. You know, we lightened the box so much that Peyton's looking at it saying, well, I got to give it to Knowshon Moreno. And guess what Knowshon went for? 227. He went for 227 yards. And here came Brady back in the game because Peyton didn't throw it that much. He went 19 of only 36 for a grand total of 158 yards. So it wasn't on fire Peyton that usually just throws them off the field.
And that's the thing, Skip. That's what you dare these great quarterbacks to do. You dare. Because remember, Mahomes, they lost, Skip. But look how many rush yards they have. You're a great quarterback. You can't beat me. Coach Belichick says, if you got Peyton Manning, I don't believe you can beat me running the football. If you got Tom Brady, I don't believe you can beat me running the football. But I know what he can do. So I know he can throw for $300 or 400 yards and beat me.
That famous or infamous Sunday night, here came Brady in the second half. He winds up throwing for a grand total of 344, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And they roar back to win in overtime, 34-31. Well, don't think that Belichick hasn't thought about, I'm going to just make him run the football. Because to your point, they haven't run it very well. They ran it pretty well in the playoffs last year. But if you force the run, maybe you keep it a little closer. You keep Tom from getting into a rhythm and figuring you out where he starts to find, because the arsenal of receivers, remember, AB did not play against the Rams, COVID protocol. He will be back. And I think he's the X factor as far as their bombs away offense, because I think he's got a little axe to grind with Mr. Kraft. So I think it'll be Brady to AB more than Brady to Gronk.
Well, I believe you're right, Skip. I believe that's the way they're going to play him. They're going to play shell coverage with the safeties back, because Coach Belichick at his purest is a cover 2 guy. They play a 3-4 defense. They normally have big guys up front to shut your run down and force you to throw the ball into cover 2. And so could he possibly think that, you know what? I'm going to play this shell coverage. You guys can't run the ball against our front 7. I'm going to dare you. I dare you. Yes, I'm going to let it be known. Our safeties are back. Have at it.
Have at it. And Tom, let's see how many times you want to hand it off, because he wants to he wants to score 100 points. I agree with you. But you know what happens when you come out in a football game wanting to score 100?
You score 20.
You score 20 because it's not that easy. And again, they do not have Stephon Gilmore. And I give you that. No JP on one side, no Stephon on the other side. But listen, J.C. Jackson is really good. He can take somebody by himself. And I think the somebody's going to have to be
Mike Evans.
Or either way.
Or Mike Evans or AB.
You got to pick your poison.
Or Godwin.
See, the problem is there's so many. To me, I told you the other day, I will bet you, because Gronk is the ultimate security blanket, and it has been through the first 3 games for Brady.
And he's been limited to participate in practice with those ribs.
He's got beat up, but still, you double Gronk and just say you cannot have him today. He will not be a factor in this game. I think you have enough manpower back there to double Mike Evans. And then Godwin could get singled on JC, and then I don't know what you do with AB, but you just close your eyes and hope he doesn't get loose.
Well, what Coach Belichick normally does, Skip, when you have a receiving threat tight end, he normally likes to bang the tight end. So I look for Kyle Van Noy to try to be as physical as he possibly can, dealing with Gronk off the line of scrimmage. We're not going to give you free releases, Gronk. We know you want to get down the field in a hurry, get to that route as fast as you possibly can, but we're going to slow that thing up. So we want Brady to see that we're banging on you. So immediately, I don't have Gronk. Let me go someplace else. Because if he thinks he has Gronk, if he sees Gronk gets a free release, he's going to Gronk.
You don't think they'd like to throw a little party back in Foxborough, those two?
Absolutely.
So that's why Belichick will say, not on my watch will I allow that to happen to me. So think about what's happened over the last 2 weeks. Tom Brady co-signed on his father doing an interview last week with Boston media, and co-signed on his father just spilling his guts about validation that we have achieved in Tampa, Then he also co-signed, not this week, but last week, on his trainer, Alex Guerrero, doing an interview with Boston media. and spilling about how Bill never evolved. He never treated Tom the way he should have treated him after Tom became a made man with at least 2 Super Bowls, right?
Correct.
Okay, so Brady knew that was coming. Then here comes the book that hits, the bombshell book, and all of a sudden Seth Wickersham, it's got anecdote after anecdote after anecdote, basically validating Brady. To me, I told you yesterday, Belichick comes off awful in that book. To me, you said, well, he already was awful. We already knew he was a villain and a scoundrel, right?
Exactly.
Okay, but this just validated it for everybody. So Tom has him on the run, but Tom is living and loving this right now because everything he ever dreamed of to get even with Coach Belichick is all out for public consumption.
Correct.
Well, now you have to put the exclamation point on it by going up there and winning 34-17.
Yeah, Skip, but the thing is, Coach Belichick knows the thing that gives Tom Brady problem is what? Pressure, right up the middle. The problem is they don't have guys that can do that. That's the thing that beats Brady. And all those games, you look at Tom, it's basically been pressure. It's not something like this exotic scheme where they disguise this and he thought it was coming from there and it came from this. He doesn't see ghosts. He sees 4 guys that can collapse the pocket on him. 2 guys in the middle that can force him to your edges. That's as simple as that.
Judon is serious business. He was the best signing that they made to me.
Yes.
He changed it.
Right. I think he has 3.5 sacks. But they haven't got the production out of every